Joining me is Sky News US correspondent Annelise Nielsen. Annelise, thank you so much for joining me. Annelise Nielsen, global warming policies, or in fact the reaction against them, that could help decide the battle, at least for the Senate.
It could. So when we're talking about midterms, these are the races that will decide who controls the Senate, who controls Congress, House of Representatives for the next 2 years. And when we're looking at these really important Senate races, a lot of them are being decided on these economic indicators. And when you're talking about how these impact people day to day, it's energy for your home and it's how you fuel up your car. So when you're talking about the Democrats being on the campaign trail saying that we want to reduce coal, that's going to impact votes in possibly Pennsylvania could be the most important Senate race we're talking about here. When you're talking about gas prices, that's across the whole country, but right now gas prices are at their highest on the West Coast, especially around Nevada. It's still over $5 on average to fuel up your car there per gallon. And when you're hearing on the ground that this is a huge issue, then when you have politicians at a federal level, especially the Biden administration, saying that it's not as bad as people are making out, that's really cloying. And one of the best indicators we've seen of how poorly this is playing out on the ground is the fact that a lot of these Democrat candidates are speaking out against it, saying they don't support it. And we haven't had a clear answer from Fetterman in Pennsylvania on this, because when we've seen him in limited public appearances, it's either been short public rallies hosted by his campaign. The one debate he did with Dr. Oz, we didn't get a clear answer at all on that, and that's largely due to his verbal issues following his stroke earlier this year.
Now, we've talked about Pennsylvania. What other contests should we watch out for to see who takes the Senate? Because this is the big thing. The House of Representatives, the Republicans are almost certainly going to win that back. The Senate is the key. Will they win that too? It's a very powerful institution. Will they win that and get the power to stop and harass Joe Biden? Where should we be looking to there?
Well, there's so many factors that make the Senate so important, and this is why we spend so much time covering it in so much detail. We're looking at Pennsylvania, Georgia as well, where I am now. One of the races, the best indicator of how important this race is the fact they've spent the most money on this Senate race in Georgia compared to any other in the country. And when we're talking about midterms, the latest estimate is that they've spent $16 billion on campaigns and TV advertising. Georgia's interesting because it's likely to go to a runoff. If either candidate doesn't get the full 50% of the vote, then they have a runoff election next month. And so this is where it could drag out. Pennsylvania, there's going to be dragging out issues with the vote count because they're not allowed to start counting any ballots there until the polls close. And then it's likely they'll start reporting those mail-in ballots. We're going to see the same thing in 2020, where we're going to probably have big blue come through and then the red votes come in over the top of that, and it'll be down to the wire. But there's a few other interesting ones to watch too. Colorado could be one of those states that throws up a surprise. Nevada's not as clear-cut as it seemed even a month ago. Arizona is one to watch. It could be very close, and there has been huge campaigning there from the Republicans. We're seeing that divide that we've seen for the last 2 years with the Trump Republicans up against the ones the Trump Republicans call rhinos, the more classic Republicans, and they haven't been able to come together in so many of those spaces, and that's only going to be exacerbated the more we're seeing Trump.
Rhinos as in Republican in name only, because Donald Trump has very successfully made the Republican Party, well, to some extent, in fact, a reflection of himself. And it's just said he is going to make a very big announcement very soon. Here he is.
I'm going to be making a very big announcement on Tuesday, November 15th at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida.
Absolutely no prizes, Annelise, for guessing what that announcement will be, but tell us anyway.
Well, we say that, and I'm still nervous because I still feel like we might be being trolled. And I know this was what 4 years of the Trump presidency was like. He didn't let the media know everything. He liked playing games. He liked the control and the attention. And it feels a bit like we're returning to those days because, look, obviously it does seem like he is going to announce he's going to run again. But the best indicator, I think, that he's ready to run is the fact he's launched this I wouldn't call it an attack, but characterisation of Ron DeSantis, calling him Ron DeSanctimonious. This has always been one of Trump's key things, that he's been able to make fun of his opponents, belittle them. We had little Marco Rubio, we had Elizabeth Warren with Pocahontas. He's very clever at making those names stick. And he's obviously got Ron DeSantis in his sights because he's the #1 competition. So I think that's probably the thing in my head that thought, oh, here we go, we're on.
I don't think that one actually sticks, Ron DeSanctimonious. I don't think it'll stick. So I'll have to try again. Annelise Nielsen, we'll be back with you tomorrow to find out the results. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.